There it
All
is.
right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back, Stephanie. Congratulations.
Yay! Thank
You're
you.
a SPFBOX semi-finalist.
Yes, I am. Oh,
Oh, how surreal is that?
really surreal. I very tiny baby author, small tiny group that follows me. So having this was like, oh, people are looking at it now. Okay, do not perceive me. Yeah.
I am so excited. We were talking before we went live just about how shocked we were about how fast semi-finalists are being announced already. Like we're not
Yeah.
even to August and there's already like 5 or something.
Yeah, there's a whole handful of us, so it's like crazy.
Yes, and you're the first one to have a semi-finalist interview on the channel, so thanks for warming us up.
Oh, I feel even more special.
Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so excited. As soon as I saw the Humane Society for Creatures and Cryptids on there, I was like, yes!
Yeah,
Okay, here
you've
we
done
go. We're starting this off right. Lots of pretty books to show everybody, too.
She's here. She's thick.
Yes, but thick is
She was,
good.
my favorite part of any book is being able to do this. So she's got good floppability.
Like, you
Yeah.
know, there's
I
promise.
pet books while I read them, so that was essential.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're tuning in and you're like, oh, this sounds really cool, but what is SPFBOX? That's the self-published fantasy blog off, and every year Mark Lawrence hosts this. This is the 10th year.
Woo!
Hosts it for free, and 300 indie, which is self-published authors,
Mhm.
throw their fantasy books in the ring to be
Yep.
read and publicly judged by a panel.
And then we sit there like this for a year.
And hope that we're the one book that's chosen. And I am not affiliated with SPFBO in any way outside of being a participant. So nothing I say today speaks for Mark, but I have great respect for Mark for the blogs. Thank y'all so much for what you do.
What he does is so incredible. Like, not a lot of people give the self-pub world a lot of, eyeballs. And usually sometimes those eyeballs are very discerning and negative. So what he does for it, bringing it in such a positive way and just showcasing it, amazing. Top tier guy.
Absolutely. I've got Mark's link to the official blog in the description box. And I also have Stephanie's link and the link to the book that made the semi-finalists, the Humane Society for Creatures and Cryptids. And we're going to talk about the book today.
Yeah.
And if you want to grab a copy and read what earned the praise so quickly of the blog, you can go grab it. And there's the big, thick, flippable version, and then there's the EPUB version.
Mm-hmm.
So, Stephanie, tell us a little bit about how this story came to be and what kind of flavor is in this fantasy.
There's a lot of flavors, I'll tell you that. This is a buffet right now. It's an international buffet. So basically, when did I start? When did the idea actually come to be? I want to say 2021. No. Before then, 2019. It was pre-COVID is when the book first came to me. There was a few different circumstances that fell into play. The first and foremost is I was watching one of the many, Monster Hunter shows on like Travel Channel and Discovery Channel and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they were doing a Sasquatch hunt and they were looking for Sasquatch, looking for Bigfoot. And they kept referring to Bigfoot as he. And I got annoyed by that. I get annoyed by little things like that sometimes. And I was like, you don't know. It could be she. It would be they. You don't know. So I created the character of Harriet, who's little tiny. She's tiny on here, even though she's Bigfoot. She's there. That's Harriet. And she's a girl Bigfoot, and she's the only Bigfoot, and she takes care of these 3 sisters. So the rest of the story kind of developed out of the fact that I also have 2 sisters. So there's 3 of us in my family. So I know the dynamic of 3 sisters, and each of them kind of represented one of them definitely represents trauma. But they all represent different aspects of myself that I wanted to explore, and almost my own version of therapy. So that's kind of how they came to be.
Yeah, when people say to authors, "Oh, which character is most like you?" You like split it up.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, they're all me. Everybody's kind of me in here in different ways. So I would, yeah.
both difficult to have to put that on paper to relate to, but also easy to relate to as the author then.
Yeah, I think everybody is a part, and it was a little bit scary to write some of them, especially, so there's three sisters and one new girl in town that have the POVs in this book, and of the sisters, Calliope was the scariest for me to write, even though she was the easiest for me to write, because she and I have very similar trauma in the past that I for years did not speak about. And so she was kind of the open door of being like, hey, friends and family, if you read this, FYI. And it was kind of being able to have a voice when I didn't feel like I had one before about it. So, yeah.
That's really powerful.
Yeah.
Is that part of why you decided to go indie with the book as opposed to like query for trad, or did you query for trad?
I did query for trad. Yeah, I'm a trad failure. I didn't do a lot with it because I'm picky. So I researched like certain agents that I really wanted, and the problem with this book for a lot is that it's very unique, and because it's not wholly fantasy, it's not wholly contemporary, it's not wholly magical realism. So selling the book, I get, is very difficult. Also, it is very big. So when I was querying it, it was 157,000 words, which debut with technically for the trad space, I would be a debut author. I'm not a debut for self-pub. But they, a lot of the rejections came with like, this is too big. It's too big. And I'm like, I'm not cutting anything. So, because I already cut it down for you and spent $3,000 on an editor. So I'm not cutting it anymore. So I still like having it. I wanted to see if anyone would be interested in it. I had some people who were like, yes, I'd be interested, but such and such, I don't know how to sell this, So I'd already been in the self-pub world. So I thought, let's do it. And so I did the Kickstarter, and that went really, really, really well. So I really like the control that I have in self-pub, even though it is harder, especially in terms of marketing. That's my weakest point. But Kickstarter made it a project they love. So it got a lot more eyes on it. It was almost 200% funded. So that was really great. And then it just kind of sat here for a while, and I was just doing conventions and doing my YouTube thing. And SPFBOX happened, and here we are.
Yeah. And here we are, Sarah Beth. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Luna. And Nina, I love that you point this out. So many authors have come on my channel over the last couple of years, and they have ranged from never trad published like me on purpose. I've never queried, never tried to go trad because I knew I wanted that creative control a little more. And I've worked with the trad industry, and so I know that some books do better in trad and some books do better in indie, and it's really
absolutely. Yeah.
And then I've met authors who left trad and came indie, and authors who are doing both at the same time. So if you're watching this as a writer and you're like, oh, should I just not do querying at all? It's really going to depend on your book. And I love how, Stephanie, you shared that this is personal. You wanted that control still too of your characters, and you'd already been asked to cut so much. And at some point you're like, no, the story needs to be however long the story needs to be.
Yeah, that's the thing with this one is because I've already gone through it a million times, like trying to cut down stuff. Every POV, every scene has a purpose in this one. And, it's like, oh, cut it down. It's like, okay, chop off your arm. That's what it was like doing. I'm like, no, it doesn't function totally without that part. So, yeah. And like you said, like trad versus self-pub, it doesn't have to be a battle between the two. Yeah. I wanted to experience querying because with my other series, I never did it. I just did self-pub willy-nilly. And I was a little baby author who didn't know anything about publishing anyway. So I'm just going to leave that as it is. And then I wanted to see with the project that's not connected to that series. Like, let's see how we would do. Let's see what the experience is. And now I have the experience. And I never want to do it again. I'm going to stay indie. I like being indie.
The bloggers that Mark brings on for SPFBO, they read both trad and indie, most of them. And like Kitty G, I'm going to drop the review here. And yes, I know there's a typo in the comment that I just put. I'm missing a W. But you can see Kitty G's review there at that link. Have you watched the review,
Stephanie? I did watch the review because I subscribed to her already. So it came up, and I knew she had already read it because someone else told me to look at my Goodreads reviews. They wanted to like, hey, look, I did this. I'm like, oh, thanks. And then I saw that she had marked it as read, and then she didn't review it there. She just wrote like review coming, and I'm like, she did it. And I open up, YouTube because I'm actively on YouTube all the time. Then I saw it pop up, and I'm like, okay, let's do it. And I just kind of watched it like this. And then, she said all these nice things, and I was like freaking out. So
were there any points?
I told everyone in my Discord, I'm like, she liked it!
I mean, besides the fact that she liked it, were there any points that surprised you?
Yeah, I think, one, I didn't realize how hard the names are. It's funny that she almost pronounced them correctly, but they're Greek names, so I get it. They're harder to pronounce. But I just was surprised because I didn't know her taste fully. So finding how the things that she did like in it, I'm like, oh, good, that came through, So what surprised me is how eagerly she wants the sequel, and I'm like, I'm trying. It's hard. It's hard. This one took
hard.
It took 5 years to make this book. So. Like, I'd love to be one of those authors that just pops out the books like that, but I'm not because I have a day job and I'm stuck in decision paralysis with the second book. So
it'll be worth the wait, though.
Yeah, hopefully it's worth the wait and not like have sequel syndrome that some books do. I'm not going to push out something just to have it out. It has to have something to say. I need something to say with the books. So yeah.
So before we started SPFBOX, we did these live panel interviews. And I mean, I guess we technically started because we knew we were accepted, but we didn't know what was going to happen with the judges, right?
Yeah.
And I asked everybody then what their strategy was going forward into the competition. I'm curious to know, what did you end up doing with the time between when SPFBO officially started and when you heard the review?
I was just doing my own thing. I put my hat in the ring for SPFBO, really not expecting anything, because I think the best thing about SPFBOX, SPFBO in general, is that for those that are, selected even in that first round, it is a way to get eyes on your books. And that's why on Fridays, I've been hosting Will It TBR. And so every Friday, I take one of the groups and I look through every single one. We read the synopsis, we look at the cover, and I decide, hey, is this a book I would personally be interested in, and put it on my own personal TBR. So and I've seen a lot of other people do different things to showcase everyone. And even for the people that didn't make it in, because there's the SPFNO group. So, because this year it was random, it was not like they picked and choose. It was just randomized.
Yeah, you threw your name
so
in
not
and randomly selected.
Yeah, it didn't mean that your book wasn't good enough for SPFBO, just it didn't get picked. So there's a great group to look at that. So I love how SPFBO brings that community together and brings more eyes on everyone's books. And I might find my next gem of a book, that because I'm a huge reader. That's most of my channel on YouTube is about reading versus writing. Like, I'm a hybrid author tuber, booktuber, but I'm mostly a booktuber. So yeah, it's just really great. So I've just been hanging out, happy to be here, just vibing. What happens, and I feel really blessed to at least be a semi-finalist. Like, that's crazy. Didn't think I'd make it that far. So yeah.
And now we wait because the semi-finalists get thrown in the ring to essentially be read by all the blogs.
Yeah.
And then they'll pick finalists.
Yeah.
And that's the exciting and yet long wait from now while everybody finishes picking.
There's nothing you can really do except just go with the flow, keep doing what you do, and I have a lot going on in my life anyway. I host regular streams, I have regular videos, I have a day job,
writing a sequel.
I'm writing like 4 books at the same time right now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I've got a lot lot going on. I've got crafts, like, yeah.
Yeah. Is there a reward for the winner? There's a selfie stick trophy, I think, is what gets sent. If Mark or any of the bloggers are watching, please let me know if I got that wrong. But I think that's what you get sent.
And you get to have the, the stamp on your book, the stickers, to be like SPFBO winner. And I think the finalists get SPFBO finalist stickers, maybe. I'm not sure. I know I've seen stickers. I don't know if they're given, but yeah.
Yeah. Sarah Beth liked your book from the synopsis after going through all of them.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
I hope you like
it. And Stephanie has done a lot of great SPFBO related content too. You have your own YouTube channel, which you were already talking about, and I've linked in the description box for people who want to click there. But definitely go give it a follow, because there are some great insights, and it's been super helpful narrowing down which order I want to tackle this giant TBR list with.
Yep.
I'm curious, having that background as a reviewer and not just being a writer and someone who's used to doing booktube specifically, which is what Kitty G does and how your review was given. What advice, if any, you would give to SPFBO authors about responding or reacting to reviews publicly during the competition? And I guess this would apply to writers who aren't in SPFBO too.
Yeah, just in general. I mean, it's first and foremost, reviews are for readers. I hold true to that. Yes, you can look at your own reviews and stuff, but you shouldn't really be responding to anyone, no matter what it is, because that's not your space. And I have a little weird, angle into it because I'm both, but I'm not gonna, for anyone, like, I didn't, comment on Kitty's video, but I saw it. And I shared it with my friends, being like, look at this, cool. But I'm not gonna like interact, because that puts there's a weird imbalance of the relationship unless you know that that's okay already. If you don't know that reviewer, like, don't talk to them. Reviews are for readers first and foremost, and they're not meant to be, if they like somebody doesn't like your book, it's not an attack on you personally, unless you wrote something that was a personal experience that was a very bad thing, it's usually like everyone has different tastes in books. And we all like different things. Like, so Nina's in the chat right now. Nina is also part of my Discord group and stuff. And Nina and I have actually done book exchanges, and Nina loves horror and stuff. And she likes campy horror. And I love fantasy and romance and stuff. So making each other read these books, we're not really going to like them, but it doesn't mean that her taste is awful. It's just different.
Oh yeah.
And my taste is not necessarily, I mean, I've read some awful books that I've loved, but I can recognize trash for what it is. It's my golden trash, We all have the purposes of how we read. I read for escapism and to feel happy and stuff, and other people love to read the pain fests. To each their own. So just going in with that, like, having anyone look at your stuff is a positive, no matter what it is.
So that removed some of the stress, I guess, that some of us first time or second time SPFBO authors might go into this with, which is like, how do I respond to this review? You don't have to. Nobody's expecting you to.
Yeah, just respect the space for what it is. And that's all. Because, I review books all the time. I'm reviewing other SPFBO books. I already read one on accident because I found it in a different competition. But I was like, oh, this is also a SPFBO. Cool. Read it. And I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite thing in the whole world. But, but I saw that the author did, in fact, like the review. And that's fine. Just full on commenting it or going into their DMs. Like, you can stay out of that part. It's not your spot. But, yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing. That's super helpful. Yeah, I saw a lot of last year, like, all over the place, positive, and then I feel really down, and it's
valid to feel that way. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, feel your feelings. Just don't do bad things from those feelings. If you want to rant to your small group of friends. You could have your safe space to rant, but don't, go on a Twitter rampage about said person who reviewed your book negative. Don't do that. One-way ticket to ruining your own career. Like, no. I see how way too often.
Yeah. So Good to know. And there are definitely spaces for SPFBO writers to connect and commiserate and be like, I want to have my bad day now. And we'll all raise a glass and be like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And then you move on and you write the next book and you try again.
Yeah.
And in this case, you get semi-finalist.
Didn't expect it. Okay, cool. Awesome.
Yes.
Happy to be here.
Tell us a little bit about, we know a little bit of you is in all those characters. Which one was the most fun to write in the book?
Of the POVs or of all the characters?
Of the POVs.
Okay, of the POVs, the most fun to write is probably Talia. So Talia is the youngest sister. I am also a youngest sister. And I loved writing her rebellion, because the part of Talia that's me is like me in high school and wanting to get out of where we live and out of the shadow of our older sisters who are just so perfect, and wanting to branch out, but also the way of her banter with other people, because, the sisters themselves are social pariahs in this small town. And Talia is the one who's like, hit me with it, I'll hit you right back. She's actively perpetuating the idea that she is a witch because the town thinks they're witches. And she's like, yeah, look at my voodoo doll, and messing with people. So she has like no fear, even though she is deep down insecure. She has that mask, and just writing her, give her comebacks and stuff was really fun. That was just fun.
Love characters that get to talk and have a voice. And
what
does. I really love, because I picked up all the semi-finalists and I bumped them to my, higher up in the TBR, and I started skimming first chapters. And I was like, I love that these characters are different. Yeah. Like sometimes you pick up a book and the characters sound the same. These are very different people.
They are very
How do you keep, because you said you're writing 4 books at one time, how do you keep their voices straight while you're writing them?
Oh no, man, I just do. I try. It's the edits. The edits do that, first draft, whatever happens. And then you edit and go, okay, wait, hold on. You wouldn't say that. You'd say that.
Fix it in post. Yeah. I assigned this to the wrong person. You shouldn't be talking like that.
Yeah. That's actually, so like I have this other series called the Ashford Archives, and that has an even bigger cast of characters. So that was good practice, I think. Ashford Archives, it's not my strong, like this right now I say is my strongest work. Ashford was not. It was when I was a baby writer. It's still fun and a good time, but it was a very good practice round. And you can see how I grow through the series. Like by book 4, I'm much stronger, but book 1 was my baby. And I've been recording the audiobooks for it myself, and even recording, I'm like, ooh, no. Want to rewrite? No, can't rewrite. So it's fun to see my own journey, because I kind of have just let that series be what it is and not touch more of it. But it's around for people. One of my YouTube followers really, really loves that series, and I'm like, great, I love that for you. I'm not writing anymore.
The temptation is real. It's like, I'm self-published. I can take them down whenever I want, and nobody will ever know.
Yeah. No one's gonna know.
Right, it's part of your journey. If you don't leave it there, it's like all these famous authors started somewhere.
Yeah.
Unless you're lightning strike brilliance, most of us don't start off with boom, Carrie,
Not unless you're RF Kuang, that doesn't happen,
Yeah, it's nice to see those earlier works, because there's something simple about seeing what an author really loves in those early works, even if it's not as polished.
Yeah.
And then seeing where they grow and being like, aha, this is the final.
My big books, both of these big books that I have both come from kind of the same spark, which is spite and anger for a piece of media. This one came out of an angry episode of Monster Hunters, and Ashford came out of an episode of Supernatural I was mad at. That's just how it begins.
All right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this right.
Yeah. Like, no, that's not how you do Phoenix. No, I'm fixing that. No, you don't know Bigfoot could be a girl. You don't know that. 567 pages later. I think I proved my point. Yeah.
Yeah. So sequel, then, is that part of what makes it hard? Because it's like, oh, I knew the first book, I was mad, I was going to fix it, and now how do I follow that up unless I find something else to be mad about?
Yeah, that's been, especially for the sequel to this book, because it's I don't know if I can call it a true sequel, because it's not following the same characters. They're still there, but we're changing locations, we're changing main characters and stuff. So finding what each of them and what parts of myself those characters are, because I have very different POVs in the second book, very different characters with experiences that I personally have not necessarily gone through, but have people who are helping to support so that I don't take away other people's voices. But their overall arc of like, what is the message I'm trying to say with this book versus what I said with the first book, while still giving it, you know, what people want, because they loved these characters. As far as I can tell, people have loved these characters, that will still satisfy people who want the sequel to see where they're at now. But even though I'm still giving them somebody else, we're getting new POVs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So people watch SPFBO stuff, and they're going to pick up your book, they're going to read your book, and then they're going to be left wondering, what do I do? Well, I wait to see what happens with the final.
You go into book withdrawal. You're like,
in the works.
Yeah.
And you have that other series we can go grab. But what's going on in your bookish world these days?
Oh, so much. I mean, I have.
And we chatted a little bit about things, you know, on your YouTube that
so
can get involved with for sure.
Yeah, I started something on my birthday. So I originally intended for this to actually start next year, but then I couldn't wait. I created the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. And because I've been in readathons a lot. A lot of them have very similar prompts. And I'm like, let's do something really difficult. Let's do something that's going to make you have to work to win this. And I wanted something that would give people enough time. So I decided to do a year-long readathon with a bingo board of 25 of the hardest prompts I could think of. And people really liked it. And now there's over 500 people participating in it, and a ton more people in my Discord. And it's gone insane. It's been wild.
It's in no way detracting from sequel in any way.
Yeah, not at all. It's great.
But I love that, because that means we can co-read with you while we're waiting for this.
Yeah. So it's been fun. It's actually in the Discord for it. Some people have decided, because one of the prompts is to read SPFBO books that are not finalists or not past winners and stuff, because I wanted to give a little bit more to those people who didn't quite make it, but it might be hidden gems. So there's a group of people who are actually going to be reading my book for the next month as a little fun appreciation for creating it, which I super really love that. But if you want to join in, they're doing August, September, they're reading HISPFBOX, which is my short name for it. I realized I didn't explain that. I call it HISPFBOX because saying Humane Society cryptids over and over again is a bit much, you know. Yeah. So let's call it HISPFBOX for now. But yeah, so they're doing that, so you can join in if you want to and read the book along with everybody else. Yeah.
Yes.
On top of all the other books I'm reading.
I'm reading. Yay.
Yeah, everybody can read it. And I'd like you to try not to look and see what everyone thinks about it, you know.
That's the fun part, though, is just knowing that people are connecting with your book and reading your book. It's the best. I
like when people get mad at me for things that they love, like that love anger, like the how dare you, I love this so, because I do that with my own books. Because there's actually another really good indie book that I was brought. I'm just going to talk about somebody else's book right now. It's called Angels Before Man by Raphael Nicholas. And I'm so mad at that book because it's so good and it has no right to be so good. And that's the kind of love I love to give books. So, yeah. Yes.
Does your book have dragons?
So there's little tiny ones. So they're on the cover, actually. So these are called humming drakes. They're little tiny baby. There's actually, I have a sticker right here. So fun fact, if you order the book directly from me, you get stickers and stuff. This is one of the stickers. This is another picture of the humming drake. It's a chili pepper. But they're little tiny babies. And they love chili peppers. And they're fun. And they're all named a letter of the alphabet because there's too many of them. So
oh my gosh, yes,
yeah,
and
there's
we'll
tiny
look up in the
dragons.
comments.
There's tiny. And so the book itself, if you guys want to see any, so
We
for
want to see
example,
the
all the
things.
chapters begin with an entry about one of the creatures. So this is a three-legged crow.
Oh, yay!
Talks about like what their name is, where they were acquired, their habitat, what they like to eat, their personality, and like all this kind of fun info. I'm a big animal person. I was a dog trainer for a really long time. But yeah, so every chapter has somebody that we're talking about. Just to look, there's Cactus. Everybody loves Cactus Cat.
Oh,
So some of these are cryptids that are well known, some of them are lesser known, and some are completely made up. So Cactus Cat is one that's
plushies.
yeah, I would love to do plushies. Would love to do that. That is expensive. So would need a big Kickstarter to do that. But I wanted to make plushies actually of the humming drakes. And we wanted to fill, the bean filling bottom so that they'd sit.
Yeah.
We wanted to do that.
That's an epic, extended Kickstarter. Like, if
that would have been a massive Kickstarter goal to get plushies. But yeah, I have little bookworms. They're on the cover too, actually. The little bookworms. These guys, they only eat books. So they feed them mostly tax law and like trashy romance. Just
but
something.
Does their personality match the book they're eating? That's the question.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of characters on the cover and inside. Like Ariadne, she's the Dreamweaver tarantula. She's a key factor in this. One might say she, well, even more important than Harriet the Bigfoot, who is a key factor in this as well. But Ariadne, very, very special girl.
Yeah. Crystal bats.
Crystal bats. Yep, that's a made up one. I made that one up. Yep. The bookworms are contentious. Other people might have thought them up, but I definitely created them. But I have, Abaya is a real one. Cactus Cat, that's a real one from Tucson, Arizona, actually.
Oh,
that's the origin of Cactus Cat. Look it up. It's a real one. They get drunk on cactus juice. And they beat people up. Yeah, I do want to make Ariadne hair clips. Absolutely.
Loving all the love. If you're not watching live and you're like, no, I missed it, you can drop questions or comments for Stephanie in the comments box, and I will make sure they get to Stephanie. Be like,
I will answer.
There you go. Or you can go follow Stephanie and drop something there.
Yeah. Come bother me. It's cool.
But thank you so much for being willing to come back on and chat about your book and your journey and warm up all the interviews to come for the SPFBO Semi-Finalist. We'll be back tomorrow and meeting somebody else, and then we'll be back in a couple weeks with somebody else, and I'm trying to organize it so we can get all these semi-finalists in and hear about their books. Yeah. But this has been an awesome kickoff, and I really appreciate you.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me and inviting me on. This was super fun.
Yes, it is. Go read Stephanie's book, The Humane Society for Creatures and Cryptids. The link's in the description box, and check out the other SPFBO books too on Mark's site, because there are a lot with reviews.
I'm excited about
so many. Haven't picked their semi-finalists yet, so the reviews are sitting there, and they're just like, "Am I safe? Am I not safe?"
Yep. I'm so hyped about so many books from doing Will It TBR. I'm like, I've got a hungry list that I want to gobble up right now.
Go for that reading challenge.
Yeah.
Well, best of luck getting to the finals. I hope to see you back, I guess, next year to find out what happens.
Last one probably is going to happen. Yeah.
All right. Well, take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.